ask you about your first punt last year. I've never seen a punter get a standing ovation before. What was that like for you? What was that moment like?
It was exhilarating. I mean, first punt Beaver Stadium, that's something I'll never forget. I mean, obviously, as a first game Temple, it's not one of those big-time Big Ten games to think about, but just to hit that first one well kind of gave me some confidence for that game for the rest of the season.
Like, what's something about punting that the average football fan doesn't know, but it's pretty crucial to the position?
I think a lot of time behind the scenes goes in that people don't see. I mean, I'm in the weight room all the time with our snappers, especially holding, catching punts, drop drills and stuff, because everything about my job is consistency. If you can't be consistent, you can't really be successful as a punter.
So what besides those reps and those drills do you do, like weight room specifically?
A lot of explosive exercises. I mean, punting's really, you're always staying on one leg, you got to balance a lot. So yeah, a lot of hang clean from the floor. Box jumps really helps out for me. And then throwing the arm exercises don't look skinny too much. So
I'm curious. After your first punt, do your teammates bring that up every now and then, remind you that you're the guy who got the standing ovation after the first punt?
I don't think everyone's ever brought that up. I mean, I think they just kind of moved on. I mean, there's a lot of punts in the season, so I mean that was definitely one I'll remember. But there were plenty of punts that people would bring up from time to time.
Well, I'm curious, what's your, I guess, the punt that you're most proud of? Not necessarily the longest, but the punt that you're most proud of that sticks in your mind.
That's a tough one. Probably the two in the Big Ten championship, just because that was a new environment. I mean, playing for a championship's a big deal. And being able to hit two good punts and help the defense out a lot in the first quarter, and then getting to sit on the bench and watch the offense go to work. Those are probably the two punts that I'll remember the most.
How much pride did you take? You were kind of a cool customer on a couple of bad snaps. Were you able to kind of go back and prevent a safety or a touchdown? How much pride did you take in being able to do that? Because I think people look at that as not just a punter, but an athlete back then.
Yeah, I mean, playing three sports in high school, obviously, I was really comfortable with a bunch of different situations. With the bad snaps, I mean, part of it's just instinct. Especially when in Indiana, where it's completely my fault, went through my hands. I worked on it with my coach before back home, just trying to run back and roll out and try to get the ball off as fast as you can.
And you had played before some pretty big crowds in high school, didn't you? What was the biggest crowd?
I played in the Georgia Dome for my state championship the senior year. There were probably 10,000 people there, I'd say.
How do you compare that to when you get out there in Beaver Stadium?
There's nothing like playing Beaver Stadium. It really isn't. I mean, even playing in Lucas Oil Stadium for the Big Ten championship, there's nothing like playing in that stadium.
So what was it like the first time you stepped out there?
Pretty nerve-wracking. I mean, I think I was shaking on the sideline, and then shaking when I was walking out. Didn't really calm down until I ran back to the sideline after the punt, and I guess after the first punt I hit, I kind of settled in a little bit.
Did anybody say anything to you? Did they notice that you were actually shaking?
No one really ever said anything. I think as a punter, you don't really want anyone to say anything because you kind of want to be in your zone and kind of focus on what you got to do. I mean, a lot of my job is mental. Just trying to zone everything out and get the job done.
Is there any training you do for that mental part of it?
No, I mean just mental reps in practice in the hotel before the game. At night, I'll kind of go through different situations, what could happen, because obviously everything's not going to be perfect. Everything's not going to go perfect during the game. So just visualizing success, that's a big thing for us.
Was there a point when the shaking stopped? I mean, I assume there was. Kind of stupid question. At what point did the shaking stop?
Probably when I got back to the sideline after the first punt. I mean, it wasn't like I was violently shaking or anything, but it was just I was nervous. Big time college game, coming straight out of high school. So it definitely settled in after that.
Like, what's the adjustment like working with a new long snapper this season?
Yeah, I mean, there is an adjustment just because Yaz had been around for 5 years. He'd really gotten his craft down, but I think Vasey's doing a really good job. We've gotten a lot of reps during the off season, and he's performed like he has in the weight room and in the indoor during the winter at spring practice. So I'm looking forward to seeing how he handles the crowd in Beaver Stadium.
Like, what part of your game do you expect to make the biggest jump this season over the last?
I think something I want to pride myself on this year is location of my punts, especially with all the good punt returners we play. I think location helps limit the return, and kind of helps our coverage guys know where it's going to be, and then make the best play they can.
How do you work on that?
Just alignment drills. I mean, everything about punting is you want to be straightforward, and if you're walking at an angle and your legs swinging across your body, then you're obviously not punting straight. So basically treating everything like a straight punt, but then angling your body towards a certain position.
What happens next for you after the weekend? Coaches go recruit. What are you going to do?
We're gonna take finals the week after next, and then go home for a week and a half, and then come back and just start working in the summer. Summer is where we really get in a lot of our work. You take 1 or 2 classes each summer semester, so that's like 2 hours out of your day. So the rest you can just focus on football and your nutrition, getting your body right, things like that, recovery and everything. Summer's like probably my favorite part of the year. You get to obviously focus on school, but just really put a lot more time into football and everything else that goes into that.
Andre, did you see the early signing day stuff that came out last week? The new rule, I guess.
Yeah.
As a guy who went through the process, what are your kind of thoughts on?
I honestly don't know enough about it. I saw a tweet about it, but
I got you. How do you kind of assess the offensive line play during the spring, running behind them?
They're a lot more comfortable than they were last year, a lot farther ahead than they were last year. A lot of young guys are stepping up. Obviously, Bates is a leader. Obviously, Andrew Nelson is a really, really good leader. And then the young guys like Michael Menet and Will Fries and Mike Miranda are really stepping up and playing well. So that they're a lot farther ahead than they were last year, which is good for the entire offense.
I know the coaches have their expectations, but what are your expectations for the running back group for this Saturday?
We want to go out and put on a show. Obviously, my goal every practice is no fumbles, no mental missed assignments, and we just want to play well and put on a show for the fans.
You have a goal for that. Are you further along in terms of where you were when you started spring, in terms of where you are now in that regard for fumbles and a lack of?
Yep. I've met my goals pretty much every practice. Coach Huff has us all write down 2 or 3 goals for every practice going in, and then kind of go back and self-observe ourselves, and I think that's helpful, thinking about that during practice and then going back over and being honest with yourself after practice about how you did.
What are some practices you were most proud of and some of those goals you met?
I think I did well. I had a couple of days that weren't my best, but I think I had an overall pretty good spring. I feel a lot more comfortable in the offense a lot. Last year I was kind of like on my toes and nervous about what am I going to do here, what am I going to do there, not fully like understanding the whys behind the what's on every play. I think that's probably been my biggest jump from last year.
Andre, I came a little late, but I heard you talking about the intensity that it is with the running back group. Can you just kind of elaborate on that and what it's like and how fun it is to play with a competitive group like you guys have here at Penn State?
We're all best friends, honestly. We hang out outside of football all the time, and we push ourselves in the weight room and out here on the field. And it's as competitive as you can get while still being friends, but it's good. It makes us better, it makes the group better, it makes the team better. So.
And I've asked a couple of your teammates this throughout the spring, but do you feel an extra motivation coming off the Rose Bowl, and have you seen that kind of hunger grow from this team of what you guys can do this season?
I would say, yeah. I'd say definitely we kind of saw what we could do as a team last year and kind of like opened our eyes a little bit to how good we actually were. So let's just push everyone harder for this year, knowing that we could get back there, and now our goals are Big Ten championship again and a national championship. So.
Is something you've started talking about, right, is that you guys will have a lot more of a target on your back than you have in years past? Does that come up at all so far?
Not really. We go into every game with the same mentality. We went into Purdue with the same mentality that we went into Ohio State with last year. So every team we're playing like it's the most important game on our schedule, and that week we're focused and ready for them.
Has Coach Moorhead changed how he runs an offensive practice here since he has a year to know you guys? Not necessarily the formations you run, just the style of practice, the pace of it.
I'd say now that we know the system a little better, he's a little bit more relaxed because we know how to practice, we know what he wants, as opposed to last year. He kind of had to teach us what he wanted, how he wanted us to run practice, what tempo he wanted, and everything like that. And I think now everyone kind of knows the deal, knows the ropes, so he's a little more relaxed with us.
Did that make it a little easier for you guys this year, kind of obviously having played under his offense throughout a season? Did it make the spring ball a little easier to jump into?
By far, yeah. I was saying that earlier. We had to install the offense last year, so we had about 3 or 4 practices of installing this year, and then we started working on kind of our weaknesses last year, things that caught us up, and everyone's more comfortable, everyone's playing faster, and not worrying about playing hesitant or anything like that. So yeah, by far.
What are you telling some of the new guys just about the blue and white game and just to try to calm their nerves down for this Saturday?
It's another practice. It's a practice in front of 75,000 fans. So we just want to go out and stay injury free, have fun, and just put on a good show for the fans.